A couple of stories knocking around today, one being that we're only targeting a striker in this January window, which, to be quite honest, is purely speculative and not a story I quite believe. The other is accredited to a well-known ITK. According to Fabrizio Romano, Niklas Fullkrug is confirmed to be leaving West Ham in the January window, with the ITK stating that personal terms have been agreed, but an agreement between the two clubs has yet to reach a conclusion. Romano is reporting that Fullkrug's time in East London is over. I have no doubt West Ham want shot of the failed big effing German, and that the player himself wants to leave as well. Another speculation was over Luis Guilherme's absence from the squad last weekend against Aston Villa, which is suggesting to have been more of a tactical or managerial decision, or so we're told. So I guess we will find out whether Guilherme is included in the squad against Man City this coming weekend, or whether a further tactical approach means he's omitted again. Look, to me, it seems that if a player is not even on the bench, then with the transfer window looming, it suggests players are being saved so that they don't pick up injuries before heading for the exit door. And that suggests that James Ward-Prowse, Luis Guilherme and Niklas Fullkrug won't be at West Ham if Nuno has his way when the window opens. So back to Fullkrug. Even with Romano having reported this, one has got to question as to why a club like AC Milan want to sign him. I'll go through that in a minute. As we also know, Romano did get a few transfer breaking stories wrong in the summer when it comes to West Ham United. So is this as nailed on as reported? According to the reports, Milan will offer a loan with an option to buy, which would see them taking on Fullkrug's £90,000 a week salary, saving West Ham around about over 2 million, 2.3 million pounds in salary savings over the rest of this season. Now, that not only opens up a place in the squad, but it also would enable us to fund the money saved on his salary, would enable us to comfortably finance a salary for a replacement striker, especially if we're going for a striker from the Championship, which is reported. Now, Fullkrug's 18-month spell has been marred by injuries, inconsistency, and managerial upheaval, leaving him unable to replicate his Borussia Dortmund form. But is the managerial upheaval as much to blame as his injuries and inconsistency? I don't know, you decide. West Ham are already looking for a striker upgrade, with Romano noting that the club is confident of signing a replacement soon. So that seems to suggest that we've got someone lined up already. Now, many supporters saw Fullkrug's absence from the Villa game as a clear signal that he will be departing this coming January. And let's be honest, I don't think many of us are going to be sorry to see him go. So why AC Milan? Well, the Italian club are reported to be keen, partly because Santiago Jimenez, their current striker, is out injured. The striker has been out since October. He's had surgery on his ankle, meaning he's going to be sidelined and could miss several more months of football this season. But Milan's history of signing veteran strikers shows why Fullkrug appeals to them. And Serie A, the Italian league, is slower in tempo, which may suit him far better than the Premier League. Now, despite his failure at West Ham and the Premier League, Fullkrug did arrive in East London with some pedigree, but 3 goals in 29 appearances in all competitions tell us all we need to know. 3 goals, only 29 appearances in a season and a half. He struggled with pace, he struggled with the physicality of the Premier League, and he's often looked isolated in West Ham's system. He was definitely the wrong striker for what we needed at the time, and was a complete contrast to who we were supposed to be chasing, John Duran, at the same time. It's like chalk and cheese, really, isn't it? One player who was in his prime, young, agile, pace to burn. The other in his 30s with a long injury record and never had any pace in the first place. But can he revive his fortunes at Milan and follow in the footsteps of other veteran strikers who have done well there? Well, Zlatan Ibrahimovic returned in 2020, and he revitalised Milan at the age of 38, proving that age was no barrier. Olivier Giroud, in 2021, he arrived at the age of 34 and became a key figure in their 2022 Scudetto win. Mario Mandzukic, also in 2021, all right, a shorter spell, but another example of Milan trusting veteran strikers. But will Fullkrug follow in those footsteps? The Premier League exposed Fullkrug for his lack of speed, his lack of adaptability, and Serie A's slower tempo and tactical focus could play to his strengths, and those being his hold-up play, his link-up passing. Not that we've seen a lot of that at West Ham, but they matter more than raw pace required in the Premier League. And defences in Serie A sit deeper, giving aerial strikers more opportunities as well. And Milan's wide service from players like Christian Pulisic could feed Fullkrug effectively. Look, in short, he was never going to make it in the Premier League, but Italy could revive him. But do I care? Not sure I do. Even more importantly, if this deal is done early in January, it does indicate, as I've already said, West Ham's urgent desire to bring in a replacement as soon as possible. And I said this last week as well, it will not surprise me if a replacement has already been approached, so that he's in the door within days of the transfer window opening. Now, do I wish Fullkrug well? Well, he did most of his talking off the pitch rather than on it. I don't blame players for getting injured. It is what it is. But we knew what we were letting ourselves in for. And yet we made the same mistake again, targeting a striker who was too old for the Premier League, too injury prone to offer even, it didn't even offer us a half a season, let alone an injury prone player trying to offer us a full season. But for me, I did lose all respect and interest in Fullkrug when he came out with the team is shite interview last season. So, arrivederci, Niklas. And the only reason I hope you do well in Italy is so that we do not have to have you back next summer in our 26-27 pre-season at West Ham. I hope you do well enough so that AC Milan will decide to sign you on a permanent basis.